Hi everyone, it's me Verin and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Just welcome to my channel. I know it's strange what I'm gonna say, and I have no idea why I decided to do it, and I no idea why. I have no idea why I decided that it's a good idea to do it. But yesterday, actually today, in the middle of the night, it was probably 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., it doesn't matter, but still. Yes, I just decided, well, I will read the Shakespeare. Yes, and it doesn't matter how long this video will be. I will challenge myself to read A Lover's Complaint. Yes, we will read this poem. It's pretty long, but well, let's start. And also, don't mind my pronunciation, other stuff, intonations, and other stuff, because, well, first of all, that's a language and it can be improved. Well, it's not something that's fixed for the entire life of mine. I will be working on it. But well, okay, Lover's Complaint. From off a hill whose concave womb rewarded, a plainful story from a sistering vale, my spirits attend his double voice accorded, and down a lade to list the sad toned tale. Erelong esped, a fickle maid full pale, tearing of papers, breaking rings at vine, storming her world with sorrow's wind and rain. Upon her head a planted hive of straw, which fortified her visage from the sun. Whereon they thought might think sometimes it saw the carcass of a beauty spent and done. Time had not scathed all that youth begun, not youth all quit, but spite of heaven's fell rage, some beauty peeped through lattice of seared age. Oft did she have her napkin to her eyne, which on it had concided characters, laundering the silken fingers in the brine. The seasoned woe had pelleted in tears, and often reading what contents it bears, as often shrinking undistinguished war, in glamours of all size, both high and low. Sometimes her levelled eyes, their courage ride, as the deed battery to this fierce intent. Sometimes diverted their poor balls are tied to the orbed earth, sometimes they do extend their view right on, and on their gazes land to every place at once, and nowhere fixed, the mind and sight distractedly commixed. Her hair no loose, no tie, no firm plait, proclaimed in her careless hand of pride, for some untucked descendant her shaped hat, hanging her pale and pin cheeked beside. Some in the threaded field still did bide, bide probably, beside bide, okay, and should the bondage would not break from thence, though slackly braided in loose neglections. A thousand favors from a mound she drew, of amber crystal and of beaded jet, which one by one she in river threw, upon whose weeping margent she was set. Likely usury applying wet to wet on monarch's hands, that lets not bounty well fall. Where one cries, some bud where accents begs all. Of folded schedules had she made a one, which she perused, signed, tore, and gave this flute, cracked many a ring of posite, gold, and bone, binding them bind their sepulchres in mud, found yet more letters, sadly penned in blood, with slided silk, fit and affectedly, and swathed and sealed to curious secrecy. This often bathed she in flaxen eyes, and often kissed, and often gan to tear, cried, of false blood thou regis- register of lies, what unapproved witness dost thou bear? Ink would have seemed more black and damp here. This said, in top of rage the lines she rants, big discontent, so breaking their contents. A revered man that graced his cattle nigh, sometimes a blusterer that the ruffle knew, of court, of city, and had let go by. She swiftest hours, absorbed, and they flew. Towards this affected fancy fastly drew, and privileged by age desires to know in brief the grounds and motives of her woe. So slides he down upon he grinded bat, um, and calmly distant sits he by her side, when her again desires her being set, her grievance with his hearing to divide, if that from him there may be aught applied, which may her suffering ecstasy assuage. This promised in this charity of age, Father, she said, though in me you behold the injury of many blasting hour, let it not tell you judgment I am old, not age, but sorrow over me hath power. I might as yet have been a spreading flower, fresh to myself, if I had self applied, laughed to myself, and not to laugh beside. But woe is me, too early attended. A youthful suit it was to gain my grace. Oh, one by nature's adwords so commanded, that maiden's eyes stuck over all his face. Love lacked a dwelling and made him her place, and when in his fair parts she did updite, she was logged and newly defied. His brawny locks did hang in crooked curls, and every light occasion of the wind upon his lips their silken parcels hurts. What's sweet to do will aptly find. Each eye that saw him did enchant the mind, for one his visage was in little drawn, what largeness thinks in paradise was sown. Small show of man was yet upon his chin, his phoenix down began but to appear, like unshorn velvet on that thermal skin, whose bare outbragged the web it seemed to wear. It showed his visage by that cost more dear, and nice affections wherein stood in doubt, if best were as it was, or best without. Interesting. His qualities were beauteous as his form, from maiden tongued, tongued, maybe that guy, yeah. He was and therefore thereof free, yet it man moved him. Was he such a sorry? Was he such a storm? Ugh. As oft fixed May and April is to see, when wind breathes sweet unruly though they be. His rudeness so with his authorized youth, deliberately falseness in a pride of truth. Well, could he ride? And often men would say, there hurls his mantle from his rider takes, proud of subjection, noble by the sway. What rounds, what bounds, what curse, what stop he makes. In controversy, hence a question takes, whether hers by him became his deed, or he his managed by the well doing steed. But quickly on this side the verdict went, his really habited gave life and grace to pertaining and to our named, accomplished in himself, not in his case. All aids themselves made fairer by their place, came for addition, yet their purpose stream. Peace, peaced? I have no idea. Not his grace, but were all graced by him. So on the top of his subduing tongue, all kind of arguments and questions deep, a replication prompt and reason strong. But his advantage still did wake and sleep, to make the weeper laugh, laughter, low, okay, and lower weep. He had the dialect, and different skill, catching all patience and his craft of will. That he did in general bosom rain, okay, rain of youth of all and success, both enchanted to dwell with him in thoughts or to remain. In personal duty, fallen where he hunted, consents bewitched, ere he desire have granted, and dialogued from him what he would say. Asked their own wills and made their wills obey. Many there were that did his picture get, to serve their eyes and input their mind, like fools that in imagination set the goodly objects which abroad they find. Of lands and mansions their in thought assigned, and laboring in more pleasure to bestow them than the true gouty landlord, which doth owe them. So many have that never touch his hand, sweetly suppose them mistress of his heart. My woe was sad that did in freedom stand, and was my own free simple, not in part. What with his art in youth and youth in art, through my affections in his charmed power, reserved the stalk and gave him all my flower. Yet did I not, as some my equals did, demand of him, nor being desired yielded, probably, finding myself in honor so forbid, which safest distance I mine honor shielded. Experience from me many bulwarks builded, or proves new bleeding which remained the foil of this false jewel and his amorous spoil. But who were shunned by present, the distant ill she must herself assay. Of first examples gains her own content to put the by past perils in her way, Counsel may stop a while, one will not stay. For when we rage, advice is often seen by blunting us to make our fits more keen. Nor gives it satisfaction to our blood that we must curb it upon others' proof. To be forebode the sweets that seems so good, for fear of harms that preach in our behoof, all betide from judgment stand aloof. The one appellate have that needs will taste, though reason weep and cry, it is thy last? For further I could say this man's untrue, and knew the patterns of his full beguiling. Hard were his plans in others, or, or, or charts crew. So how the sights were gilded in his smiling. New woes were ever brokers to the feeling, though characters and words merely but art, and bastards of his woe adulterate heart. And long upon these terms I held my city, till those he gained besage me, gentle maid, have of my suffering youth some feeling pity, and be not of my holy woes afraid, that to is sworn to none was ever said. For feast of love I have been called unto, till now did never probably, no, never invite, nor never woe. All my offences that abroad you see are errors of the blood, none of the mind. Love made them not, which actor they might be. Where neither party is not true nor kind, they saw their shame that so their shame did find. And so much less of shame in me reminds, but how much of me the reproach contains. Among the many that mine eyes have seen, not one whose flame my heart so much as warmed, or my affection put to the smallest teen, or any of my leisures ever charmed. Harm have I done to them, but never was harmed. Kept hearts and livers, but mine own was free, and raged commanding in his monarchy. Look here, what tributes wounded fancies send me, or pallid pearls and rubies red as blood, figuring that they their passion likewise lent my, or grief and blushes lie understood in bloodless white and crimson mood, effects of terror and dear modesty, encamped in hearts but fighting outwardly. And lo, behold, these talents of their hair, with twisted metal amorously impleached, I have received from many a several fair, their kind acceptance weepingly besaged, with the annextions of fair gems enriched, and deep-brained sonnets that did amplify each stone's dear nature, worth, and quality. The diamond, why, 'twas beautiful and hard, whereto his invised properties did tend. The deep green emerald, in whose fresh regards weak sights their sickly radiance to amend, The heaven-hued sapphire and the opal blend, with objects manifold, each several stone, with wit well blazoned, smiled, or made some moan. Lo, all these trophies of affections hot, of pensive and that hard, subdued desires and the tender. Nature hath charged me, charged me that I heard them not, but yield them up when I myself must render. That is to you my origin and ender. For this of force must you oblation, oblations be, since I there alter you impantrol me. Oh, that an advance of yours, that phraseless hand, whose oh, whose wife winds down the early skull of praise, took all this seamless to your own command, hallowed with sighs that burning lungs did raise. What me? You minister, what me, your minister, for you obeys, works under you, and to your audience comes their distract parcels in combined sums. Lo, the device was sent me from none, or sister sanctified, or holiest not, which lay her noble suit in court did shun, whose rarest havings made the blossoms dote. For she was sowed by spirits of richest coat, but kept gold distance, and did thence remove, to stand her living in eternal love. But, oh my sweet, what labor is to live, the thing we have not, mastering what not strives, playing the place which did now from receive, playing patient spurts in constrained jives probably. She that her frame so to herself contrives, the scars of battle scalpeth by the fight, and makes her absence valiant, valiant, I don't know, nor her might. Or pardon me, in then my boast is true. The accident which brought me to her eye, upon the moment did her first subdue, and how she would the caged cloister fly, religious love put our religion's eye, not to be tempted would she be inert, and now to tempt a liberty procured. How mighty then you are, or hear me tell, your broken bosoms that to be belong have emptied all their fountains in my well, and might I pour your ocean all among, I strong o'er them of I strong over them, and you over me being strong, must for you by your victory as all can guess, as compound love to physic you call breast, my parts had power to charm and scared her none, who disciplined I did in grace, believed her eyes when they the assail began. I don't know, to assail began. All woes and consecrations given place. O mass potential love, woe bound no space in thee, hath neither sting nor confine. For thou art all, and all things else are thine. When thou impressest what a precept's worth, of stale example, when thou wilt inflame, how coldly those impediments stand forth, wealth of velial fear, low kinder fame. Love's arms a peace gains rule, gains sins, gains shame, and sweetens in the suffering pangs it bears, the allows of all forces shocks and fears. Now all these hearts that do on mine depend, feeling it break, with bleeding crowns they pine, and supplicate, oh my god, supplicant, I don't know, their sighs, they sighs to you extend, to leave the battery that you may gain mine, lending soft audience to my sweet design, and creditant, how many letters, credent, so to that strong bonded oath, that shall prefer and undertake my troth. This said, his wetry eyes he did dismount, whose sights till then were levelled on my face. It shook a river running from fount, with brinish current downward flowed apace. Oh, how the channel to this stream gave grace, who glazed with crystal gave the glowing roses, that flamed through water which there who encloses. O Father, what a hell of witchcraft lies in the small orb of one particular tear, but with the inundation of the eyes, what rocky heart to water will not wear? What breast so cold that is not warmed here? A cleft affect, called modesty not worth wrath, both fire from hands and chill extinctor hath. Follow his passion, but an art of craft, even there resolved my reason into tears. There my white stall of chastity I dived, shook off my sober guards and civil fears, appeared to him as he to me appears. He to me appears, all melting, though or drops this difference bore. His posant me, and mine did him as chart. In him plentitude of subtle matter, applied of cautels, a strange forms receives, or burning blushes, or weeping water, or sounding paleness, sorry, and he takes and leaves, in either's aptance as it best deceives, to blush and speeches wrong, to weep at woes, or to turn wild and sound a tragic shows, that not a heart which in his level came could escape the hail of his all-hurting aim, showing fair nature is both kind and tame, and wailed in them did win whom he would maim. Against the thing he saw they would exclaim, when he must burnt in high-wished luxury. They preached pure maid, and praised cold chastity. Thus merely with the garment of a grace, the naked and concealed, feigned he cowered, that the unexperienced gave the tempter place, which which like a cherubim above them no Howard, Howard, who, young and simple, would not be so lowered. I me, a me, I fell, and yet do a question make, and I should do again for such a sake. All that affected moisture of his eye, oh, that false fire which in his cheek so glowed, oh, that worst thunder from his heart did fly, all that sad breath his spongy lungs bestowed, oh, all that borrowed motion seemed owed, would yet again betray the fore-betrayed, a new pervert, a reconciled mate. That's guys. That was 34 minutes, I guess. Maybe probably less. Maybe just 30 minutes because I had a pretty long beginning. Well, the next poem, The Passionate Pilgrim. I'm not sure that I'm gonna read it right now. That was the whole video. I'm not ready for more. But I like that. I like that. That's pretty interesting. Yes, I liked reading the poem of Shakespeare, although it's pretty hard, but I found pretty interesting words and the language and how he like the sentence structure is interesting. Maybe that's just how it was, how it used to be. Well, but it's really interesting. So I really would love to master this sentence building method. I would say yeah, actually that's it. I need to finish this video. Yeah, if you hear hi, thank you for watching. I know it was strange and it was unpleasant to hear probably, and places it was terrible, and places it was fine, I would say. Have a nice day. I hope you hear this message. Have a nice day. Read Shakespeare. Write your favorite authors, writers, songwriters maybe as well. In the comments, I would love to read your recommendations. Also write your favorite works from Shakespeare and what do you think about Shakespeare overall, like in general. Like write a little essay. That's gonna be your homework, kids. Write your essay about Shakespeare in the not description, in the comment section down below. That's it. Have a nice day. I wanna hug you, say I love you. Everything's good, amazing, awesome. So see you in another videos. Bye.